different generations. We have different groups of people, Gen Y, Gen Z, Gen whatever. Um, I'm the last one of the millennials. I thought I was a bit younger than that, but when I looked up the other day, I ended up being as part of the millennials. But, you know, things are changing all the time. And as we've seen recently, you know, chaos can enter anytime. And if the new generation is not ready and is not what do you call it, doesn't have the right information to make choices, then we have a problem. Hospitality is not always the most wanted of jobs. A, because it's known as a part-time job. When you're at uni, you become a waiter or a barman to get a bit more money. But then people tend to forget that hospitality has got some fantastic aspects and some great opportunities, especially for those of us who are not exceedingly academically minded. So the best way to sell this to the young generation is by helping them out and showing them the way, rather than trying to just talk to them and convince them. And as we know, parents, what do you know, mum and dad? You just have to let them try for themselves and see that it's actually interesting. And that's why I'm always trying to help. When I was at that age, somebody did the same to me, and I found it was the best way to do it. So world goes round.
There we go. I'm not on mute anymore. Thank you so much, Patrick. I completely resonate with what you were saying. I think it's so important that young people feel supported on this journey. And also, it's really important that we encourage our young people to take advantage of the opportunities that we provide for them in secondary education. I would like to formally introduce you to everyone. Just a few housekeeping rules. If we could all keep our videos switched off, because this call is being recorded. Teachers from Dubai English Speaking College, welcome. Students from DES, welcome. Students from Curtin University, Dubai, welcome. And students across the country, parents, educators. It is an incredible opportunity for Dubai English Speaking College to be collaborating with Curtin University and schools across the country on a very first national event. As today, we are welcoming our incredible speaker, Patrick Antaki. He was born in Egypt. He gained a degree in hotel management at Collège La Salle in Canada before gaining his MBA in the international marketing at University of Leicester in the UK. He is currently, in 2010, he was with Al Maha Group, a luxury collection, desert resort and spa. His responsibilities included Star World hotels and resorts worldwide, where he was given the management from Emirates Airline. He's a keen diver, supports various marine conservation projects, and in recent years, his encouragement has seen Le Méridien Al Aqsa sponsor a Shark Watch Arabia project for the tagging of whale sharks, resulting in the regeneration of the coral reef off the coast of Fujairah and noticeably more abundant marine life. He was active on many boards, including Dubai English Speaking School and College, Fujairah Tourism and Antiques Authority, the Higher Colleges of Technology in Fujairah, and the Mission to Seafarers Angel Appear. Patrick is helping in scouting associations in the UAE, and of course, he enjoys his outdoor experiences. Patrick, tell us a little bit about the enterprise that you're working on right now before we begin your talk.
Decided finally to set up my own company, so PWA Hospitality Services, a small company. I'm trying something a bit different. It's asset light, so it works on networking and it works on connecting people together. So I'm trying to use today's technology to my advantage. And what I'm doing is I'm offering the services of international hospitality companies to the standalone hotelier who cannot afford the big names of this world. I'm not competing with them, because if I tried to do that, I'd be silly, at my small level, trying to compete with the conglomerates. But I'm trying to fill or plug a spot in the market where the small hoteliers can't afford necessarily the experience of the worldwide hospitality groups, but at a very, very reasonable rate that will allow them to compete in this difficult environment.
Incredible, Patrick. And I think what you're talking about today it's so aligned with what you're doing in your own career. Of course, when
Oh,
you
yes.
launched what you wanted to be doing, there was no sight of the pandemic. Would you say that the pandemic has really put in action everything that you're going to be telling us about today?
Well, the pandemic is what started it all in a way. This was a plan for in a few years' time. I didn't realize that I'll be throwing or trying to get it going during the worst possible time for hospitality and tourism in the world. Most people will probably realize that we're going through a difficult time, but they didn't realize it's nearly decimated many of the hospitality and tourism income feeds. So many companies have gone under, so many companies had to reorganize because basically people are not traveling. And today we heard that the UK government is now going to be slapping fines on people leaving England for non-essential travel. So that's people coming here will have even more difficulties. So guess what? The hotels and the tourism industry is going to suffer again. And of course, not forgetting aviation industry. So, chaos and disorder is plan B, C, D, Z, Z1, Z2.
Incredible. Thank you, Patrick. Without further ado, I'm going to switch my camera off. I'm here in the background, keeping watch on the chat box. Let's make sure to put lots of reactions to give Patrick some love during his presentation. Keep those chats going, and I will see you in the Q&A.
Great, thank you, Maria. I hope you can all see my screen. I did prepare a small presentation, but first I would like to say thank you to Eric and to Lana for some amazing presentation and some great insights. Yes, Lana, I'd forgotten that we'd met so long ago, and again, that was through helping out youngsters. So today we're going to be talking about if plan A fails. Well, as you've seen from my screen here, it says plan B, C, D. You always have to have more than one plan. So in order not to get to, oh, whoops, you need to have some plans or at least some ideas of where you want to go. Sorry, I'm just trying to, there we go. So as Maria quite nicely presented me, I don't need to go too long. I managed two of the best hotels in this country, the Meridian Alaka, which you see in the background here, and the Al Maha Desert Resort, which is par excellence, one of the best hotels in the world. I'm a career hotelier, and I've got a fantastic family. Vicky, my wife, was an LSA at DES, and the three kids, Seb, Maxine, and Claudine, all went through DES and DESC. Seb has now finished school and has now finished uni. Max is in her second year, and Claudine still has 1 year to go. They're all in England, and they are, well, Claudine is going through the same thing as most of you guys now, trying to make a decision on when to go and where to go next. Right, so if we go through life, we had Eric in his presentation told us, we have to make a plan, and it's absolutely right. You have to make a plan, and you have to do it with your heart. But let me just take you through what goes with plans or what goes through life. You all know you start life, there are different levels or there are different stages in life. So you're born, then you have an upbringing. So during your birth and upbringing and the education, everything is pretty much in line. People make decisions for you. Everything, there is a routine there. They say, oh, the kids need a routine in order to be used to things. So we all get used to living in a certain way. During this time, our culture, our religion, our education is all put in line, and we all form our base of decision-making processes. So with this in mind, with our parents, with the people around us, with our friends, our teachers, all the people who make a difference in your life, you start making choices. I want to be a show jumper. I want to be a race driver. I want to be a policeman. I want to be a dancer, a chemist, a doctor. These are choices that you make based on your education, your upbringing, and the things that go that accompany you through your first part of life. In some cultures, we know that choices are made for us, or people try to make the choices. Oh, my kid, you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, or you're going to be X, Y, and Z. Same thing as goes for, marriages. Same things that goes for where you're going to live. Choices are made for you. So, or try to, because we know within this new generation, things are changing. People are becoming more liberal, and traditions sometimes get changed a little bit, or new traditions come into play. So with this travel in time, there was a scientist, whose name is Stephen Hawkins. Some of you might know him. He came up with one of the theories of there is three arrows. The life is like an arrow; it moves on, and there is one arrow which is time. And as time goes by, chaos increases. So when you think that birth, upbringing, education, you've got semi discipline and things are planned for you. Then when you go to uni, or when you want to go to uni, when you want to change school, when you want to change country, a bit of chaos gets thrown in. So what is chaos? Chaos really is the unexpected. Chaos is created by something we haven't planned for it. Example, when you're on an airplane and the airplane hits an air pocket, that the captain did not expect. So the seatbelt sign was not on, and all of a sudden there is chaos between everybody. Is it dangerous? Not necessarily, no, but it's caused chaos. Chaos is, well, we're all living through chaos at the moment with COVID-19. COVID-19 has created the biggest chaos in this century. Even probably World War II was similar to this, but because we're not living with bombs coming crashing down, we're living with an unknown, we're living with a virus that we can't even see. This is causing chaos. We have to make decisions we did not even anticipate having to make. When somebody's job all of a sudden is put to an end, when actually I just bought a new car, I just did this, the kids have just been moved to a nicer school, a better school, and all of a sudden your life has changed. So chaos tells us that there is a constant in life, and that's called change. That if we didn't have plan B, we'll end up with a lot of disappointment. Why we'll end up with disappointment? We'll end up with disappointment because we'll have to have a quick plan B or C or D, which we might not necessarily enjoy or anticipate. If we have prepared a plan B, even something that we didn't really want, at least there'll be some sort of organization, some sort of direction that we want. Sun Tzu, some of you might have heard of him. He was a general in the Chinese army back in, I think it was around the 6th century. And he is the father of strategy as we know it today. He said that in the midst of chaos, there's always opportunity. So we need to take chaos and we need to find our opportunity in it. This picture is all about opportunity. The background picture shows you some fish in a bowl, and one fish thinks that he's super fish and is jumping into the empty bowl. For those of you interested, please research the blue ocean strategies or blue ocean theories. It's a very, very interesting read, and it tells you basically when your water gets too busy, you need to find your niche. You need to jump out of that busy water and go into your own blue ocean. So how do you do this? Well, we can't necessarily predict what's next. Some people would say, yes, but today with the technology, we can predict. There are algorithms that will do this. That's all very good, but they don't calculate for chaos. No single algorithm in the world calculated for COVID-19 and for the complete standstill of the world, for the complete lockdowns, for Sheikh Zayed Road being totally empty, for Emirates Airlines and every single airline grounding every single airplane they own, to the point that we nearly didn't have enough runway space. Chaos tells us that we must be agile. If we're not agile, we will break. What's agility? Agility, you can easily see it as somebody who does parkour. You have to be able to change directions quickly. You have to be able to absorb the pressure. You know, when you jump from a height, your feet have to be able to absorb it without breaking, because if you're not agile, your feet will break, your back will break, it will hurt. That's the same thing in life. If you're not agile and you live in the past, or if you live in a certain direction without having options, it will hurt you very much. We mustn't be afraid of change, you know, and change at any stage of life, not just when you're students. Do I go to this uni or do I go to that uni? You know, Lana was giving us a fantastic variety of options for which unis to go to. But a lot of kids will say, "Oh, I want to go to that uni because it's the best, because it's the best known for that project that I want to do." But then what happens if you don't get accepted? You get very upset. You get very disappointed, disheartened. All this is negative energy. All this doesn't help you. You need to be positive. You need to have options, and you need to have ways of looking at things. Now, change is very frightening. You know, uh, for the last 56 years of my life, change has been part of my everyday routine. I've moved many countries, I've moved many jobs, but I never anticipated what's happening today. You know, to the point that I had, like I was saying earlier, I had some fantastic jobs. I was managing some great hotels. I had some lovely teams. Then I decided to move on to an even bigger job. It was a great job while it lasted. COVID hit, boom, decided to set up my own company. So utilizing a plan that was supposed to be in a few years' time, but bringing it in now. But what I didn't anticipate is when you open up a company, life changes quite a bit. All of a sudden, my family's in England, I'm back here in Dubai. Believe me, after many years of living together as a family, with our fights, with our arguments, with on Friday, what are we going to do? You know, you miss it. You get used to it. You enjoy being with your family. Then all of a sudden, you have to get used to being on your own. Start fending for yourself. Some people say it's great. Yeah, it is great for a while. But then when the bars are shut, when you're not allowed to go out, when you have to work from home, when you have to be on a Zoom call rather than being in front of people and interacting and talking and feeling people, it makes a big difference. So change happens anytime and all the time. So just to give you an idea of my path, like many boys, I wanted to be a firefighter. Then I decided when England was having the fight down south for the Falkland Islands, I wanted to go into the Royal Navy. I was passionate about joining the Royal Navy. But of course, I was too young and my mother had something to do with me not going there. Then from there, decided to become a pilot, airline pilot. Who doesn't want to be an airline pilot? You know, very exciting job. You see the world, you go, you wear this beautiful uniform. And then chaos hit my life and I had to wear glasses. And in these days, if you didn't have 20/20 vision, you could not go in as a pilot. Or you could, but you wouldn't get the big jobs in the commercial airlines. So I ended up becoming a hotelier. Do I regret it? No, I didn't regret it. Did I know it was going to happen? Well, it was a plan that I had that if things didn't work out in my other plans, then I'll become a hotelier. And till today, I'm a hotelier, and I think it's probably a little too late to change now, but then you should never say never, and you should always be ready to change. Going into the next and maybe the what do you call it, closer timeline, I decided to leave a very comfortable job. You know, 16 years at Le Méridien Al Aqsa, 10 years with Al Maha Desert Resort, 3 years with the tennis club in Fujairah. Life was becoming a bit routine, and I always tell my people that if things become too routine, you're not nimble anymore. You're not flexible anymore. You fall into a false sense of security. So I decided to go and see something different. I decided to go and try something else. Of course, I was very lucky because I was being headhunted for a nicer, bigger job. Did I enjoy the new job? It was so different. I traveled, I went around the world, I saw new countries. I had a fabulous time. And then, as I said earlier, COVID hit. So I opened the company. Then, at the beginning, when I first started it, it was great. I had so many proposals, so many offers on the tables, a lot of discussions. And then all of a sudden, I realized that things were slowing down and I was not writing as many proposals as I was. There was not as many contracts. So I decided I needed an alternative. I decided to open a restaurant up in Fujairah. And I was very excited and it was lovely. The whole family was supporting me. And it was really good. Then all of a sudden, looking and calculating things, utilizing realistic measures rather than emotional measures, I realized that the restaurant is a good thing to have next to a job that earns you a living. It's not the main thing. Obviously, it depends. Some restaurants are multi-million-dollar restaurants, but this was a small restaurant up in Fujairah. So I had to put that restaurant plan on hold. So that shows you again, a little bit of chaos, a little bit of non-linear unpredictability based on what's going on, the environment. And if things don't improve, I'm going to be needing to look for another job. So I'm not saying all this to discourage you guys, but I'm saying this to show you that we're living in a non-linear environment. We're living in a very unexpected environment. You know, you have to be ready to change. You have to be ready to have different options. So my next thing is how to draft your plan. And this by no means is it a scientific study. This is just me scribbling a few things on paper. I'm sure if you look online, you will find some very, very interesting, properly researched and properly written scientific papers. I always say to my team, start with the end in mind. Where do you want to be? What's your objective? You know, each one of us has his own way of looking at things. Some people, the vision is very clear. For some people, it's a calling. And for some people, it's a question mark. Then once you know approximately which way you want to go, you say, what do I need to achieve? How do I achieve these things? What are the materials that I need? And by materials doesn't necessarily mean physical materials. It can be money, it can be education, it can be anything. Then what are the possible downfalls? What happens if, for example, did we know that we're all going to be online? Did we know that we're all going to be learning remotely all of a sudden? We knew it existed. You know, in the hospitality industry, it was, wow, the hotel is great in technology because we can do video calling. But now all of a sudden, everybody and anybody can do video calling. So work out what are the possible downfalls. Based on these downfalls, what are my alternatives? Do I need to find a different job? Do I need to find a different path? For example, if I'm an athlete, what happens if I twist my ankle? What happens if I get sick? You know, these are all the questions, but my passion is in athleticism, or my passion is being a professional dancer, or my passion is being a show jumper. So what's my alternatives? Maybe your alternative is to take a business degree in order for you to be able to open your own education center in your passion. So what is your hobby? You turn it into your profession. So you give yourself alternatives still in the things that you enjoy doing. Or maybe you look at something completely different that you would be very happy to also do, or even just question it. Maybe I'd be okay opening a restaurant. Maybe I'd be okay, I don't know, becoming a brickie or driving a bus. Who knows? You know, it's not all about high education. Sometimes we like to do things with our hands. Some of us are artistic, some of us are not. Have your plans appraised by some logical people and by some emotional people. There's two different opinions there. You could say that neither of them are wrong, but the two put together is always a good thing. Prioritize your options. Which ones would you like to use for move ahead of the others? And at the end, good luck with all this. Two things to remember, please, before I sign off. You have to feel empowered. You have to feel that you've got the power within you. Don't allow the pressures of outside to push you down. Franklin Roosevelt, one of the early American presidents, always said, the only thing to fear is fear itself. So when you start feeling worried, when you start feeling concerned, when you start being afraid of everything, of the big decisions, don't, because that's fear that's coming to push you down. Believe that you've got the power. Everybody, I'm happy to take some questions. And if you prefer, I've put my email address at the bottom. Maria's got my details, and you're more than welcome to contact me if I can be of any help, coaching or helping anyone.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you. Thank you. If you stop sharing your screen and then we can see you and we can be talking to you, that would be amazing.
I will try my best.
Yeah, as we're waiting for Patrick to stop sharing his screen, if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat box. Patrick, we have Samira agreeing with everything that you're saying. Maggie's also thanking you for being here. Sarika says, thank you so much, Mr. Patrick. Maxi, who is one of our students here at Desk, is saying, fantastic presentation. Thank you very much. Patrick, everyone's really, really impressed with everything you were talking about. And as I was listening to you talk to us about your discussion about Plan B, something came to my mind. And I know that young people, especially that come through the office here at Desk Careers, they're always worried about getting it right. And most of the time, what I'm telling them is, let's talk about what your interests are and find the patterns in some of the things that you are interested in. So I couldn't help but find the pattern in some of the career choices that you were considering. You went from being a firefighter to working for the Navy, going into becoming a pilot, and then your career now as a hotelier. The common patterns that I saw was you were definitely not wanting to be stuck behind a desk. You were definitely wanting to be in an occupation that would be helping people in a capacity that you would feel that you would be giving back to the community. And also, all four of those options are very engaging, very outgoing, very people-oriented careers. Would you say that you were, when you were thinking about these things, that you were actively thinking about some of the patterns that I suggested, or are you now in reflection thinking, yeah, that actually makes sense, that those were things that I was always considering?
Maria, it's funny you say that, because at that time, I was not thinking or analyzing in this way. It was what I felt. It was my emotions rather than logic that was talking, But yes, looking back on it and seeing what I've been doing for the last few years, it had to be connected with people. It had to be with leadership and teams and working with people and definitely not sitting behind a desk. One of the things I found the most difficult is when I have to sit and do emails or go through long meetings. I much prefer being on the field, being in the hotel, seeing the people, making sure their experiences are good, and working with the team. Many people who saw me especially at the Meridian Alaka, would remember me serving breakfast with the teams, making pancakes, or I will take, okay, I'm not a professional in that field, but then I will stand somewhere where I can alleviate the pressure on the team, and at the same time communicate with the guests and talk with them. How is their stay? Are they enjoying it? I've met a few of the Desk and Desk kids there as well. And of course, they knew me because of my kids being at Desk and Desk. So we were always having a bit of fun, especially when I was at the pancake and I could do the Mickey Mouse pancakes. So yes, it is always, you will find a bit of a pattern, but if you want something different, why not? The pattern might not always be linear. The pattern might be various. The pattern might decide to be a bit chaotic. It's not wrong either, as long as you've got the passion for what you want to do. and what you want to try.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. I am in complete alignment with everything that you're saying. One last thing before we say goodbye. I know that young people, when they come into desk careers and they're talking about their career aspirations, they're almost afraid of making a mistake. And it's like they want to get through those next stages as seamlessly as possible because they meet inspiring people like yourself, and they see the amazing work that you do. And sometimes when we retell our career stories, we kind of surface over the chaos as you described. What does chaos feel like when you're going through it is one of the things that I like to talk to our young students about, and being okay when it's not okay. And I know that you talked about some of those points as well, but just before we say goodbye, Patrick, if you could give us your top 3 tips on flowing and surfing through that chaos, whether it be academic examinations or, as you said, wanting to get to the university of our choice, but not being able to get there, or having to change career path through the chaos of something that might happen in life. What would your top 3 tips be to get through it and surf the waves?
It's difficult to limit it to 3. I'll try my best, Maria. First, I would say believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing. As long as you're well prepared and you've done your homework, and I don't mean homework just for school. I mean studying what you want to do, if it's a job, a project, a presentation. Do believe in yourself. Don't allow doubt from within overtake you. That's one of the things. Another thing is, when you're going through chaos, don't be alone. Take somebody along with you, whether it's your parents, your siblings, a friend, a teacher, Maria being there as a support person, support people at the school, but do not go through it alone, because sometimes, when we are going through uncertainty, we think it's just us. People are going to think that we're not worthy, or that it's so silly. No, it's not. Believe me, it go through it. A problem shared is a problem halved, and I strongly believe in that. There are so many things when you're going through difficulties that you should always do. Resilience is definitely one of them. I just saw one of the notes, somebody said resilience, and yes, it was written in my note, but I didn't bring it up. But you have to be resilient, you have to push. And lastly, because I know we're running out of time, is mistakes. Mistakes are human, guys. If you don't work, if you don't try, you're not going to make mistakes. The main thing about mistakes is not to brush them under the carpet. The main thing with mistakes is to fix them. Own up to your mistake. Don't be afraid of saying, yes, I was wrong. Yes, I did the wrong choice. Yes, I shouldn't have spent this money. Yes, I did the wrong choice, and move on. Get help and move on, and don't be shy or don't be afraid of it. The consequences of lying are a lot worse than the consequences of admitting your mistake and fixing it.
Thank you
So I hope
so
that
much.
helps.
That was incredible. Thank you so much, Patrick. I mean, people don't want to say goodbye. We have Delna giving you a big shout out. She says she was with you since your days at LMAA, and she wants to send her warm wishes to you. Sarika is saying it takes so much courage to leave the current work if it's not fascinating you anymore and start from scratch. She's giving you a big thank you for showing him how to be brave. And then we have Murshad, who's saying that if she's being honest with those, more mistakes are often tend to be better at doing things because they've learned from experiences. That's incredible. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you for being here. And I know Baha Al-Kayali from LinkedIn is here, and he also sends you a big shout out saying that you were very inspiring. Thank you for being with us here today, Patrick. How can we find you if we want to reach out to you? Where do we find the PWA links?
I'm on LinkedIn. Just search for PWA Hospitality. My website is pwahospitality.com. And by all means, please feel free to share my email address and telephone number.
Thank you so much. I know Ish has his hand up. Quickly before we go, Ish, if you can just keep your microphone on, but not your video, we can answer your question quickly before Patrick says goodbye.
Hi, so my name is Ashwarya. I'm a student in Dubai. So I just wanted to know, would it be advisable to have like alternative plans and like plan B, plan C within the same field as our main goal, or would widening the area be better?
Great question.
That's a very good question, and it's entirely up to you. If you want to have different options available in the same field, you can, or if you want to have different options in totally different fields because that's what your passion is or that's what your interest is, why not? But also remember to try to be reasonable with what you can achieve as well. So if you are going to be, I don't know, a ballet dancer, or and all of a sudden you realize you're not going to be one, maybe becoming an engineer is not the right functionality to have as well, because that's not the way you've educated yourself. Sorry, I'm using totally random examples, but it's entirely up to you. You see what you can do. If your passion is to try something different, go for it.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you for that great question. And that brings us to the end of an incredible conversation with Patrick Antaki. It was such an incredible conversation. I love when you come and talk to our students, Patrick, and I know that we're definitely going to have you coming back to Dubai English Speaking College. If there are any other schools out here wanting Patrick to come and do a talk at their school, definitely give us a shout out and we will make those connections. And I will say thank you, and we're going to welcome our next speaker.